Hey, Dodger fans, what's happening? Dodgers win 8-5 at the Ravine today on Sunday, putting the finishing touches on a series win versus the Red Sox. We'll look back over the past week. We'll talk some deadline trade deals. We'll talk some Puig, and we'll look ahead to the upcoming homestand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good. All of tonight on Dodgers Wrap 360.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I know what everybody's questioning. Why are they coming into LMFAO? It's 2016. But you got to give Ichiro some props. He got his 3,000th career hit. That's all in the major leagues. Pete Rose, calm down. And, just give him an attaboy to him. Yeah. But now we can talk some Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the second question on everybody's mind, who is Rob Sagadin? Here to give us the answer, Joshua Gershon.
Set a record today with 4 RBIs in his major league debut for the Dodgers.
Unbelievable.
Looked good today.
Yeah. Depending on who you're rooting for.
Well, for us, he looked good. For you, maybe not so much. But he found a little bit about him. He's 27, major league debut, 7 years in the minors. A lot of injuries. College had a back injury that kept him out for a year. Minors, hip injuries that have kept him out. They just acquired him in the offseason from the Yankees for, I think, nothing. Just, swapping minor leaguers. And,
Sounds like a guy that's hard not to pull for.
Yeah. But was raking in Oklahoma City, 319, 21 home runs. Yeah. So, the Dodgers have had trouble hitting left-handed pitching, especially the outfielders.
Right.
So, they said, hey, why not? We might as well give him the shot. He's raking in Oklahoma City. Let's see what he can do. Had a nice debut today.
Yeah, I mean, every time he came up, the bases were full, and then he made short work of that.
Yeah.
It was sad to see, but,
It's good. I like to see when a guy, it's as they say, what is it, the Crash Davis kind of dream there, the Bull Durham, Kevin Costner and Bull Durham, career minor leaguer who finally gets to the bigs.
Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely got to pull for a guy like that. So, I mean, it was kind of a disappointing week going into this series, them Dodgers dropping 2 out of 3 up in Colorado. But it was good to see them come back and get 2 or 3 versus Boston.
Yeah.
Clearly a better team. I don't know what the Rocks did this weekend, but...
Yeah, they were raking the ball all weekend. Yeah.
It's like, don't sleep on us. We're still hanging out here at like 500.
They are still hanging around. You never know. If they get hot at the right time... I mean, like when they made that World Series run, they got super hot. You never know what's going to happen. Because they're 5 games back, right? Dodgers only a game back.
Yeah. It's not really because they're playing spectacular baseball.
It's because the Giants are nosediving right now.
They are nosediving, And so let's just talk a little bit, because we kind of talked about it last week when you weren't here, of like speculative trades. But the Dodgers made their big trade, shortly before the deadline, acquiring Rich Hill and Josh Reddick.
Which I know we talked about. I know you guys talked about. I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago that was a strong possibility. Mm-hmm. They were looking at those 2 guys. I read already that they're trying to negotiate with Reddick for an extension, because both guys both contracts are up at the end of this year for both guys. So I would imagine the Dodgers going into this, they're not going to give minor leaguers away for nothing. So I'd imagine they have to at least keep one of those guys.
You would think. And it's kind of... What did you kind of think about the trade overall?
Well, I mean, I liked it. I guess, the issue with Montez is, while he has been pitching good, we still don't know about his durability. He has been injured, I think, his entire pro career so far in the minor leagues, right? I believe he's been injured almost every year.
Who, Montez?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like...
And he projects as, at best, a setup man, right? I believe that's his best.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a hard thrower out of the bullpen. It just seems like they went into this with the mindset that, okay, we're not going to trade Urias, obviously. We're not going to trade De Leon. We're not going to trade Verdugo. And we're not going to trade, is it Keppinger or
Bellinger, yeah.
The first baseman. And like, we're not, but anybody else you can kind of have. It's like, when you kind of look down in the Dodgers minor leagues, it was like, the first tier of pitching prospects was kind of like De Leon and Urias. And
unless you're getting Chris Sale, they were not giving up those guys. That's for sure.
Right. And then the second tier of pitching prospects was pretty much Cotton, Holmes, and Montas.
Yeah.
So you pretty much just traded that whole second tier of like. So now you got like the Striplings of the world on the next tier, the Striplings and the Brock Stewarts. You know.
Stripling pitched good yesterday.
He sure did.
Yeah, he had that little bit of a jam in the first inning, and then Kendrick made that great play on the ball Ortiz hit.
Yeah.
And then Stripling got out of that pretty nicely after that. So, and he didn't struggle at all after that first inning.
No, he settled in nicely. He was able to give him 5 strong, and then they got that kid come out of the bullpen.
Drayton, who they just brought up, who I thought looked really good.
And he looked good in his first appearance too. When he came up in a relief appearance, he was just, a victim of the numbers game in that one and had to be sent down. But he's looked very composed, and I'm real impressed with the composure of him, Stripling, and even Brock Stewart. You know, even though he's kind of got touched up in his two starts for the Dodgers, he shows me something. You know, he's definitely poised. You know. Well,
I liked they both admit, Drayton and Stripling, to be nervous to face Ortiz in that game. They were both kind of in awe a little bit of facing him, which I thought was kind of fun.
But they both got him out.
Yeah,
Stripling twice, I think. And
well, he was wrong. Kendrick made a really good play on that one ball. I'll say, I know Ortiz is a little bit of a slump, but he made nice defensive plays. Guys have played defense in a year hasn't played in the field at all.
Yeah,
made 2 nice plays at first base. I was impressed.
Yeah. The thing that's, you know, what's kind of surprising about this trade, well, you know, you needed Hill. You know, you needed to kind of bolster the staff, so it was good getting that. He hasn't made his appearance because of blister problems. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. This guy's a major leaguer. How's a blister? He's a pitcher, okay? You can't have a blister if you're a pitcher. But he's, what's the story? He's going to go Friday? Is that the deal?
Yeah, right now against the Pirates.
Okay. And then Urias is going to make another start. Is he going tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Nice. So it's like best laid plans to kind of slow down Urias, but they're like needing him on the major league level to kind of come up and make these starts. So it's like,
well, I'm still shocked that De Leon is not in this mix yet.
Right.
You know, because he's still killing the competition right now in AAA. So I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
You would have thought like he would have been more in the chute, you know, faster than Urias because
he's 22,
23,
yeah.
Even, yeah. So it is rather surprising. Well, what's kind of surprising is, and you touched a little bit on it earlier, of the Dodgers' lack of being able to hit lefties, you know? So I think the idea was to bring in an outfielder that could hit lefties. Instead, they bring in Josh Reddick, who's slugging 171 versus lefties this year. So it's like, and if you kind of look at the numbers of Reddick over like the last month, and then Puig over like that since he came up from the DL.
Yeah, Puig's numbers were better. The only thing where Reddick was, I mean, he's only gotten 1 hit so far as a Dodger, but when he was on the A's, him with runners in scoring position was a lot better than Puig.
Okay,
that was one of the big things. I think he was hitting 370 something with runners in scoring position.
There you go.
Where Puig was not, and Reddick doesn't have the arm, but is a very good defensive outfielder.
Yeah, he's got a decent hose. I mean, he's not Puig-like.
He's
not Puig-like, but as far as hoses go, he might be top 15 hose in the league.
Yeah,
you know, but he's just not top 3 like Puig.
But speaking of Puig, what's the
situation with this guy?
Yeah,
it really, when we kind of talked a bit about it last week, of it seeming like it was just addition by subtraction, just getting rid of this guy, and it's a chemistry thing in the clubhouse. Nobody seems to like him.
Well, I remember when the Van Slyke story came out. For those of you who don't know, Scott Van Slyke kind of told his dad, Andy Van Slyke, you know, that he's Kershaw doesn't
Former
like...
Pirate.
Yeah, and Cardinal.
That's true.
And actually, he was... because the first game I ever went to at Dodger Stadium was the Pirates with Van Slyke, Bonilla, and Bonds.
Oh, yeah, that was a good team.
Yeah, first game I ever went
Early
to.
90s.
Saw Van Slyke make a hell of a diving catch. Anyway.
Spanky Lavalia behind the ditch. I mean, if you would just turn it on, you might think this is Pirates Rap 360. We got some black and yellow microphones, just...
But it said that Kershaw was not a fan of Puig. And when they asked Kershaw about it, he never denied it. He just kind of deflected it a little bit. But he never said, like, oh, no, that's not true.
It's because Clayton Kershaw never lies, kids.
So, when your best player, and we know Greinke had issues with him when Greinke was there. That was kind of documented. And then I believe...
I mean, who didn't Greinke have problems with? That dude's just an odd bird.
Yeah, he is. He's just an odd guy.
Like most of the starters you have to avoid on their day of pitching, maybe the day before. Seemed like everybody was avoiding Greinke. Crazy.
But I guess Molly Knight I was listening to her on the radio a couple days ago, and she was saying, that... because she wrote the book about Friedman and, the Dodgers and all this and Puig.
Right.
And she was saying that, this has kind of been known in the clubhouse, that he's not the most well-liked guy. And you're willing to put up with it when you're slugging 550,
right,
like he was his rookie year, you'll put up with it. When you're not, it's a different story. It's like, the rumors of Bonds, he had his own locker literally separate from the rest of the team. Like his locker was in a completely separate area. That was the rumor with Bonds. But
Jeff Kent down the other end.
Yeah. But when you're hitting like Bonds, you'll be like, oh well, forget it. Who cares?
Yeah.
When you're not producing and you still have that attitude, it's going to be hard. But
it's true. Like Andrew Friedman was probably getting daily calls from Kershaw's representation. Like, okay, so these are Puig stats. Why is he still on the team?
I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised. No. I remember we talked about it at the game with my wife and my sister Friday night about a kid coming from that kind of background, the way he got here in the first place. It makes you wonder how. If it's as much fault as the Dodgers, if it's the Dodgers' fault as much as it is Puig's.
Right.
The way they handled him. Maybe they did bring him up way too early.
Yeah.
My good friend Michael was saying it for years, even when he was hot. He's like, no, they shouldn't have brought him up this early, even when he was raking the ball.
Right.
Like, no, they shouldn't have brought him up. He wasn't ready yet. And now might have been proven to be right a couple years later that he really wasn't ready to come up at that point.
Yeah.
Because they say now he can't hit the fastball, really? Oof. Like he's struggling with the fastball and...
Yeah, it's like that flashness of just being a newbie, like nobody knows how to pitch you or anything, so you can kind of ride on that for 6 to 8 weeks, and then once people got the book on you, it's up to you to make the adjustments, and it just seems like kind of Puig, never really made those. Not to mention the fact all the other little baseball stuff that he didn't missing the cutoff man or making errors base running and stuff like that.
Even stuff like showing up late.
Right.
Doing things like that. So, he tried... look, he tried Mattingly's patience. He tried Roberts' patience. And as former players, I'm sure they were willing to cut him some slack.
Yeah.
He seems to have worn those guys... he wore Mattingly down pretty much.
Yeah. Roberts even said, when asked, it was he was trying to gloss over it as much as he could, but he did admit when he was asked, did Puig take up more of your time than the average player?
Yeah.
Was that taking away from anybody? And he's like, yep. So you can't have that.
No.
You can't have that. He actually went on to elaborate I think it's the manager's job to be available to all the players and all this stuff. So, and it just seems like these, I'm kind of calling the cool kids on the team, but Seager and, Trace and Jock, they're just cool.
Don't they all live together?
Yeah, they all live together. You know who wasn't invited to live there? Puig. Yeah. And I feel bad for Puig because it's a lot of it's just a culture change, and things like that. And it's these kids. Seager's brother's a big leaguer. Yeah. Trace Thompson's dad was a professional athlete, so they kind of know the deal, and they're kind of cool from birth, and they just kind of keep rolling into it. Puig was not cool
when you
enough.
come from Puig, literally nothing.
This is LA Dodgers. Yeah. This ain't Oklahoma City Dodgers, so he's going to be super cool down there.
Puig came from nothing, nothing at all. Came here, if you believe the story of how he got here, in the first place, like on a raft and through Mexico and all this stuff.
Right.
And to suddenly have millions,
it's got to be a lot.
It's
got to be a lot.
It has to be.
I do feel bad for the guy, and you kind of feel bad for like Andrew Friedman, because he was like dangling him out there at the trade deadline, and nobody was offering anything besides a nickel on the dollar for him.
Yeah.
And you know how much talent this kid has, and you just can't let him go because you gotta. Yeah,
well, I mean, everyone's
save some
convinced.
value.
Everyone's convinced we're not going to see him play again for the Dodgers. I'm not as convinced.
Right.
Because if you can't trade him, I mean, I'm sure they put him through waivers, so no one's going to pick him up. You can't trade him. You can't. What are you just going to outright release him? I mean, he'll walk on somewhere else, I'm sure.
Why wouldn't anybody claim him? Is his money that exorbitant? Isn't he like on the
he's on
$7 or $8 million?
He's on a great deal, but don't you have to give up a draft pick for that?
Oh, is that what it is? I thought you could kind of work out a trade if you put in a claim.
You can work on but that's only if he goes through waivers, if no one claims him.
Oh, okay.
But I do think if someone claims him, you do have to work out a deal.
Yeah. You either work out a deal, or the team that put him on there pulls it back.
Yeah.
And then he can't be traded the rest of the waiver period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's just unfortunate. I mean, I really hope the best for the guy. He's exciting. He injected some life into baseball a little bit. I'd like to see him succeed.
Yeah.
I just hope he can kind of get his head on straight. That's all.
Yeah. Let us know if anybody has any clarity out there on that waiver system, if they would have to give up a draft pick if he was there. Let us know about that. You can, on the Twitterverse, you can hit up Josh at Gersh13.
At Gersh13,
Love that. So hit him up during the... Also, if you can answer this one for me, what happened in Dodgers history on this date in 1972? Okay, so August 7th, 1972. What impactful thing happened in Dodgers history? Do you know?
I do not.
Okay.
That was before my time.
Oh, it is. But we'll talk about it at the end of the show, if anybody doesn't tweet you. Some other big news besides the trade this week. Well, we also picked up another guy in the trade. The only guy since the Dodgers have been in L.A. with the last name Chavez comes to the Ravine. Jesse Chavez.
Who's not very good.
No, but, we got him for your boy Mike Bolsinger, right?
I don't know why there was so much hate for Mike Bolsinger.
There's a lot of hate on Bolsinger.
I don't know why.
It seemed like when he came up, he would do adequate.
He was. I saw the dude pitch like a 2-hit shutout in one game that I went to last year.
But they've been running him out of town for some reason.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know he doesn't throw hard. Yeah. He's not. I think he hits 90, 91 on the gun. I know he's not a hard thrower.
Yeah.
But I thought he did exactly what you wanted him to do.
Yeah.
And now we get Chavez, who, he can throw hard, but the dude's got like a 5 ERA. I mean,
it did seem like kind of an odd acquisition. It was almost like, who can we get for next to nothing that we can maybe sell some shirts on? Well, it is Chavez Ravine. If we could pick up a guy named Chavez, that'd be great. What do you think?
He is from here, I believe. He's from L.A.
Yeah. Like Inland Empire or somewhere?
Yeah, something like that. But, I mean, his whip was high. His ERA was high. I mean, he got shelled by the Red Sox on Friday.
Maybe your boy Honey. He sees something that mechanics he can just kind of tinker with, because his appearance today was very good. He faced 4 batters, retired all 4.
Yeah, and actually, Josh Fields, knock on wood, has been solid for them since they acquired him too.
On waivers from Houston, right? Yeah. So they're bringing in some arms. He throws hard. He's up to like 97 and stuff.
Yeah.
Who's kind of making his way back in the circle of trust?
Baez. Yeah. He has pitched better lately. I will give him that.
Yeah, which is good. They seem, knock wood. Hopefully, he's kind of over his homer happiness.
Well, with Liberatore down, we have that same problem. We don't have a lefty.
Right.
Liberatore's on the DL now. Avalon, I don't think can get it done. He didn't look good today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Howell, we saw Friday, did not look good.
Yeah.
Howell's
been better lately. He's been better over the past month than he was, to start the season. And, if you remember last year, he was pretty much lights out for the first 4 months of the season and then tanked it for the last 2. So maybe it's the reverse this time, of where he's like terrible for the first 2 or 3 months and then has a good close.
I mean, if I'd like to be able to get something out of one of those guys because there are only lefties out of the pen.
Right.
Well, now we got Drayton coming up. Drayton's a lefty, I believe.
Was he okay?
I think he's a lefty.
Yeah, he could be heard from because I mean, Libator really was kind of out of that lefty mold and really had kind of graduated into that setup man, that like lockdown eighth who's going to face lefties or righty regardless. And you know, Blanton was kind of in that mix too. You know, those days were kind of going back and forth in seventh and eighth. Blanton's been kind of ineffective as of late.
Yeah, he has been struggling.
He's kind of getting overworked a little bit. So to see Baez kind of step up, you know, it's going to be a very fluid situation in that bullpen. You know, it isn't like you can just hit the snooze button and have, you know, Betances, Miller, and Chapman going for you at the end of the game. We have the guy that's automatic, and then it's kind of like feeling it out going in. You have certain guys you like, but it is going to be, you know, matchups going forward until, you know, my boy Joe Blanton reclaims his spot as stud setup man on this team.
Well, you know, he's just. I think Blanton's just going through a rough period. I think he'll come out of it. So I'm not really worried about it.
Right.
You know, right now he may be struggling, but you know, he's done a good job of transitioning to the pen, and I think he'll figure it out. Just a little bit of a rough patch right now. See, I have that confidence in Blanton. I don't have that confidence in Baez. I feel like if he hits another rough patch, that's it.
Blanton's that wily veteran, you know.
Yeah.
So Sagan had just blasted on the scene today with 4 RBIs. I mean, the kid was just raking. It was good to see. 3 hits, though, today for a guy who's also scorching. And another bomb, his 300th career home run. Probably kind of psyched that it came at the expense of the Red Sox, I would have to say. But that was Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's been hitting near almost 400 since July 1st. So he's been raking for the last month. I mean, that's good news.
It is.
Because him and Turner, I mean, for that little brief, for that not even brief, for a while there, Seager was like the whole offense.
Right.
You know, now there's some pressure off of him. You know, he's still hitting over 300. But a little bit of, now with Turner and Gonzalez crushing the ball, it's not, you know, you don't have all this pressure on a rookie shortstop out there, you know, as your lone offense.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to still try to get some consistency out of the leadoff spot. But, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of, they had an odd lineup early in the week, and I don't know, they had Utley leading off, and they had Kendrick in the 8-hole. And it's like, I would have liked to seen that probably reversed. I don't know if it was they were battling a lefty, and Utley's that much better versus lefties than Howie is, but it seems like Howie was raking. You know?
He's been hitting pretty solid.
Yeah, he's been hitting solid now for the past like 7 weeks. And it's like, so I would have rather seen him get one more at bat, you know, as is the tendency when you're hitting as the 1-hole as opposed to the 8-hole, you know, rather than Utley. It just seems like Doc has kind of just fallen in love with Utley so much at the beginning of the season where they didn't have a leadoff hitter and he filled in so amicably that he's just kind of staying with him because he trusts him. And I hear you. I guess trust goes that, but
they were teammates at UCLA. I mean, that's how old Utley is too.
Oh, really? Okay.
I believe that's true. I might have to double check that.
Wow, but that's another thing you can hit him up with. Oh man, so he was sick today, and you know, McCarthy didn't have his best stuff.
No, he only went 3 2/3, right?
And they seem to like.
They kind of yank him at the sign of any kind of danger.
They do. They are like, you know, he gets to like pitch count 75 and they're looking to pull him, you know, and it's like, I guess, I mean, the guy's coming off a TJ, so I can kind of understand it. So do you think that Reddick Hill trade, is that going to be enough to kind of push them over the top to win the West? Because then you look at, it seems like the San Francisco, even though everybody says that their bullpen, I mean their farm system is weak and the Dodgers is incredible, it seems like they kind of beat the Dodgers at the deadline. I mean, picking up Matt Moore to bolster into their rotation, and you know, they got Nunez, I guess, too. But you know, your direct competition is the Dodgers. They can't hit lefties, so you go out and you get a lefty stop.
Yeah.
It just seems smart, you know, and like conversely, the Dodgers go out, need a bat that hits lefties, and you get Josh Reddick, who doesn't really. And it's like, when you have a guy like Bruce out there who kind of does hit lefties, are you a little disappointed that maybe he wasn't the name coming back?
No, because I'm convinced that this is a classic. Jay Bruce is in a contract year, gonna, one of those kind of things. We've seen Jay Bruce for 9 years.
Yeah.
He has not been this good in the previous 8 seasons. Yeah, he hits home runs.
You think he's on a cycle?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I don't know if he's on a cycle or he just happens to be. This is it was the reason why when Cespedes wanted a huge contract, huge years, huge money, no one gave it to him, because while he was excellent for the Mets in that last month of the year, we have enough evidence to know that this is who said, like, that's not Cespedes.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with Jay Bruce. While he's hot right now, this is not Jay Bruce.
Yeah.
He'll be back to hitting 230. He'll hit 25, 30 home runs, but his on base percentage will not be this high. His batting average will not be this high. I think that's. You always have to be wary of that.
Yeah.
You always have to be wary of that dude who just busts out when it's so opportune.
Yeah. They get that big bat at the deadline, just like they did last year. And then their last year big bat goes on the DL with that quad hurt, potentially, golfing. I love Terry Collins, It's like, I almost pine away for him on the Dodgers, So there'll be a lot to talk about. I mean, Dave Roberts is so even kill and positive.
I know.
That it's like you're never going to get a blow up from this guy,
It would take a lot to get Dave Roberts to blow up, I believe.
Yeah. Some news early in the week that may have alarmed some Dodger fans was when Clayton Kershaw got moved to the 60-day DL. And I think you see that first thing, 60-day DL, and you're like, whoa, what? But that is going back to the last time he pitched. So he'll still be available.
Late September?
I think August 27th.
Is that what it is?
It'll be this first day they could actually go. And I think he's just starting up baseball activities. So
yeah, he started throwing, not pitching. I think he just started throwing today.
Right.
So
I mean, he's going to be at least 3 weeks away for that, and that'll be the 27th. So
we'll see. You got to protect him.
Of course.
So for a power pitcher like that, if his back goes, he's done.
Right.
So you got to make sure that he's healthy.
Right.
Because if it's up to Kershaw, he'd be pitching probably right now, try to pitch through the pain.
Yeah.
So you got to protect him from himself now at this point.
Right.
Just make sure, this is a big investment. It's your MVP. You got to make sure he gets out of his own way too. So
say Clayton Kershaw comes down. Okay, we're just going to shelve this guy. We're not even going to mess with his back. He's done for the season. Where do the Dodgers finish?
I've thought about this because everyone keeps saying you need your ace and this and that. The Royals had no ace last year. Edinson Volquez, who was on the Dodgers, was like their number one pitcher because Cueto didn't pitch good at all for them until the World Series.
World Series, yeah.
But he was terrible for most of that run with the Royals. So it was their goal was shorten the game.
Yeah.
If the Dodgers bullpen can stay consistent. And the starters can give you, you get Rich Hill, who if he hopefully comes back healthy, he had a 2-something ERA, right?
Yeah.
I believe. So, you get him go 6-7 innings with that ERA. You get Maeda, 3 ERA, go 6 innings for you. Shorten the game. Bring in the pen, and try to get it to Jansen. I can still see them getting the wild card, only not so much that they're playing well, like you said, but we're starting to see other teams' futility.
Right.
The Mets have kind of fallen down a little bit.
Yeah.
The Giants, for some reason, Bumgarner was just a hard luck loser today. But he hadn't pitched. He has not pitched well until today.
That's true.
His last 3 starts have not been good starts.
Yeah.
So you're just
they lost 1-0 today on a Wilson Ramos solo home run. I bet Mad Bomb was hoping he got kidnapped on the way to the game.
So it's with the Mets falling.
We shouldn't joke about kidnapping. I'm such a bad. I'm so bad.
The Marlins are still there, but I can see the Dodgers and the Marlins right now getting that wild card spot. Because the Pirates are not great, really good. The Cardinals not very good.
Yeah, they're kind of faltering.
Yeah,
I still think their best baseball's yet to come, and it's like I just kind of seeing them ripping off like a stretch where they win like 9 out of 10.
Normally, I do.
They're back in that.
Well, I would agree with you. Normally,
but they're not playing good defense.
No, and that's uncharacteristic of the Cardinals. And their bullpen has been shaky, which is also uncharacteristic. For a couple years, you brought in Rosenthal, boom, lights out, 100 miles an hour, you were done. Now he can't seem to find the plate.
Yeah. Well, they got that kid who's kind of settled in as the closer, kind of locked down that, and they still have some decent arms like Segrist and.
But they're pitching a lot of innings. Manis, Segrist, they are pitching a lot of innings.
Yeah, Segrist is just coming off a DL stint, I think. They also have this kid in the minors, Reyes, who throws hard, who I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the bullpen mix come the last month.
I'm still convinced De Leon will come up in some form at some points.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, he would be potentially a starter coming up, and then Urias could be a power lefty in the pen. But, I mean, it just seems like every time they have that... inclination to move Urias to the pen, someone else gets hurt.
Bud Norris. Today, put on the DL. The 26th player this year.
Wow.
One shy of the Red Sox record of 27.
Oof. The 0-12 Red Sox. They were a bad team. So the Dodgers will at least be better than them.
Although I think my prediction of 85 wins if Kershaw does not come back is more likely true.
Yeah. And now, say Kersh comes back, and he's same old Kersh. He comes back, say, 3 weeks left in the season. We get him 1 month from today on September 7th. Where do the Dodgers?
I mean, if
they can make a run at the fourth straight division title?
I think they can. With the way the Giants are playing, I mean, I can't see the Giants playing like this till the end of the season.
Right.
But even if the Dodgers play 500 ball and the Giants play close to, I mean, I can see the Dodgers making a run.
Yeah. And how do you think that the Dodgers rotation stacks up versus the Giants right now? I know you're not a Smarja fan, but
no,
it seems like Mad Bomb and
Mad Bomb and Kersh, to me, while I do believe Kersh is better, it's kind of a wash.
Right.
Because Mad Bomb does kind of crushes the Dodgers. So if they have to go head-to-head, it's going to be a wash. But then when you look at Matt Cain has not been good.
He's been terrible.
Samardzija has been his ERA is still in the 4s. Cueto's been okay.
Yeah.
But he's been struggling as of late, too.
Right.
Peavy's, it's got a 6 ERA.
How that guy is still a starter. It's unbelievable. He must have some compromising pitches of Bruce Bochy somewhere.
So, you figure, I mean... If Rich Hill comes back healthy, I mean, I like the Dodgers more with Rich Hill and Maeda.
Yeah.
As your 2-3, if that's with the healthy Kersh, obviously. But, you got Maeda and Rich Hill, and you got McCarthy, who's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Their starter. I mean, I like the Dodgers bullpen more than the Giants bullpen.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
They
perform better.
Yeah, with a healthy Kersh, I think they got a good shot.
Yeah. It was not good that they picked up Rich Hill in that trade, because at first I think, maybe some Dodger fans are like, especially when you hear all the rumors about maybe the Tampa Bay starters coming over, and they're like, oh, great, we get a 36-year-old guy who's up at the end of the year, he's just a rental, But this guy can pitch, He's figured out something towards the end of the year last year. He was pitching in independent ball. He looked good in independent ball. So the Red Sox gave a flyer on him. He pitched 4 great starts at the end of the year last year, under the radar for the Red Sox. After working with their kind of pitching specialist, a guy like Brian Bannister, and he tweaked some stuff with them. And so he was lights out those last 4 starts, and has been lights out until he got hurt with this blister thing with the A's. The A's got him for like a 1-year, $6 million deal. And every team in the league is kicking themselves for not bringing that guy in.
Yeah, and Chris Archer would have cost you at least Urias or De Leon, which,
right.
I mean, in all honesty, I would have been fine with.
Yeah.
If we got Chris Archer in return. But I think Tampa was probably wanting maybe both.
Right.
Is it worth it for both? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe for both, but I think the Dodgers were like, not both. We'll give you one. We're not going to give you both.
Maybe kind of revisit it in the off season too.
Yeah.
Because he is a young guy that's talented and under control. But where there is, you have so much, up in the air with regards to Kershaw. It's kind of tough to pull the trigger.
And I don't think it was an accident that it came out after the deadline that he was going on the 60-day TL. Because you don't want to make that announcement before.
Right.
Because then everyone knows you're desperate for pitching.
Yeah. Or you could be just mailing. I mean, we talked about potentially being sellers if that was the case. And, and now you look at McCarthy kind of struggling his last couple starts, it begs the question: what could you have get if you dangled the McCarthy out there and he was 4-0? You know, had a little shine on him still. They could have got something and been buyers and sellers at the same time.
I don't know. It would have been interesting because I think the trouble is, unlike the Yankees, who, yeah, they were 500, but we knew weren't going anywhere.
Right.
You know, the Dodgers were 2 games back at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it was hard to be sellers at that point.
Yeah, you couldn't do that to your fans.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Trace Thompson also moved to the 60-day DL this week, right?
And back issue. Similar issue.
We got to get a back specialist in here.
Yeah, I know.
Strengthen him with these guys.
We need some good stretching coaches. We need the guy. We need the guy who taught Lionel Messi how to stretch. That's why. Well, now there's rumors of him taking PEDs, but that's beside the point. But up until those rumors started flying around, he used to, a lot of his stuff was guy stretch for like 2 hours before every game.
Right.
Just stretching. Maybe we need something like that, some kind of rigorous stretching program.
Definitely. I mean, you wouldn't think a young buck like Trace would need to do it, but he better get stretching, you know. Turner still continues to rake. I mean, our boy Kike came off the DL this week, and he's hit a little. He went deep on Sunday.
Yeah.
And he's hitting over the Mendoza line now. Finally got over the Mendoza after today.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So that's good to see. And Grandal is raking the past, 5 weeks.
Yeah, because, a few weeks ago we were really, I mean, he was not playing well at all.
No.
He was below 200, for those who don't know what the Mendoza line is.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
He was below 200, and all of a sudden, guys hitting 230 in, like you said, 5 weeks. Raised his average 40 points.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's crushing the ball right now. Hitting home runs, getting doubles, had a triple the other day. A questionable triple at best.
Yeah,
but
that was something. A triple. That was some generous scoring, to say the least. That was a double.
Funny enough, but it was on the road. He got that call in Colorado.
Yeah. That is crazy.
At home, you could see it, but he got that call in Colorado.
That was a huge triple.
Yeah.
That salvaged that third game, right?
Yeah.
So that was good of them to get. I was really impressed with the Rockies. They got some young pitches that look like they're going to stay there, like Gray.
Yeah.
And who else? That kid Williams?
Yeah, no, shoot, I cannot. I'm blanking on his name, but I know who you mean. Yeah.
He's got a pedigree, and he's kind of coming on for them now. And Chatwood looked pretty good too.
Chatwood's their ace, right? I guess, sort of.
I would say probably Gray. I think Chatwood maybe has more wins, but just as far as like a big horse who can kind of throw hard and you can build upon. I mean, Chatwood's kind of a small guy, but he throws decently hard. They finally wised up that they can't have any guy that relies on off-speed stuff. They just have to have guys that kind of, flamethrowers. That being said, Kenta looked pretty good up there.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
It's funny how I feel like baseball in general is moving towards that. We need guys that can blow it by, where you just need guys to miss. Like, that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Blowing it by guys. How can we make, it's because you're getting in this era where, like, relievers, they either strike out guys or they give up hits.
Right.
There's no guy that kind of comes in, maybe throws 20-something pitches but gets 3 outs on those, 20 pitches. You're getting less and less of that guy.
Yeah.
You're getting more of, I'm getting a guy that throws 90-something miles an hour. I'm just going to try to throw it by him.
Yeah.
It's becoming...
That's why it was kind of so refreshing the other day to see kind of the stripling, Leighton. Or is it Leighton? Dayton? Well, who's the kid? Drayton,
yeah.
Where they kind of did a combination, they're like, okay, we combined for 7 innings, and did the same work as a starter going deep. And I think Hunter and I talked a little bit about that last week, where you look at all these guys that are lights out, two runs through the lineup, but then on the third, like Maeda, they hit like 178 first time through the lineup, then like 204 second time through, and then like 340 third time through. So it's like if you pair these guys with somebody else, maybe you can't get those 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah, and it worked really well for Stripling and Drayton. They both, and with Drayton being a lefty who, reminding me a little bit of, and I don't know if it was because I think he wore number 75, but did remind me a little bit of Barry Zito. In his prime, Zito, not a Giants-Berry Zito.
Yeah. Big looping curveball.
It was. I think it was something with his motion. He didn't throw that nice. Zito had that crazy drop on that curve. I mean, that was kind of insane. Right. It wasn't like that, but it was something about his motion. The way he kind of threw the ball reminded me of Zito a little bit.
Interesting.
It was, it was, but because I didn't know much about him when he came up, and I got to actually stay home and watch the game on Saturday because it was on Fox Sports. I didn't have to go to a bar to watch the game, or go to the game itself.
Right.
But it was nice to, when he got brought up, because my wife was like, well, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah, right.
I'm like, "Oh, they just brought him up. Came from AAA." And, I know there's not much book on him yet, but he did look pretty solid. And he, if they just need some consistency out of that lefty as long as Liberatore's out.
Yeah.
As a lefty reliever, they just need some consistency out of a guy.
And you really got to give an attaboy to Ross Stripling because, it just seems like at the beginning of the year when, he was kind of the last resort to fill in that fifth spot. Yeah. He took the ball and he battled and he did well and hung in there for the first 6 weeks of the season in the rotation, And now they send him down, He keeps his chin up, waits for the next opportunity, comes up, and he pitches well again. You know?
That's why
in the pen and now starting the spot starts. So.
That's why you got to root for what's Bettinger? What's it? How do you say his name?
Ooh, Seguin.
Yeah,
the new
guy. Yeah,
the new stud in the outfield.
Because they didn't bring him up by accident. I mean, he earned the spot. He was raking in AAA, so he earned the spot. So it'd be nice, to see a guy like that kind of, maybe he can stay up. Maybe he can do something with the team.
If he hits lefties, he's gonna be up.
Yeah, because they'll need him up. As we've discussed their futility against left-handed pitching.
That's for sure, and everybody's going to be throwing lefties out.
Yeah. I mean, he single-handedly tattooed Price today, pretty much. I mean, Price not looking sharp today, though.
Yeah, his defense kind of let him down a little bit. I think they played 3 errors in the field behind him with David Price, but he's turning the corner a little bit, Price, which as a Red Sox fan, I'm glad to see. He was okay today, but like I said, the defense let him down. But his last 2 starts, both which the Red Sox lost, he pitched well enough to win. But looking forward to this team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are now. We got a homestand coming up here. We got the Phillies coming to town for 3, and then we got Dodgers got Thursday off, and then Pittsburgh coming to town for 3. So the boys of Pennsylvania, east side of the state of Pennsylvania, are coming to the Ravine this week. So. Phillies played some spirited ball for everybody knowing they were going to be kind of a cellar dweller this year, but they got some young guys playing. But we've got to get back to winning series. Yeah. Winning series. So they were able to do that versus the Red Sox today. Hopefully they can win that series versus Philadelphia. And got
to take 4 out of 6, at least.
4 out of 6.
Got to take 4 out of 6.
You got to. Because then you're you got a pretty winnable road swing after that, but. Gotta go 4-2.
But then you got the Giants. The next homestand after this is the Giants and the Cubs. That's a tough homestand.
It's gonna be interesting. And I love, who doesn't like to see coming down the stretch in September?
Yeah.
Dodger Giant baseball. It's gonna be so sick.
Oh yeah.
And this is why, a few years ago when they started loading up on how many times you play the teams in your division. It's kind of a good thing.
Oh no, I love it. I think that's the way it should be.
It should be like that. Now they just have to, which seems like the logical next step. Dial back the interleague.
Yeah.
So
I was never a fan of the interleague.
I mean, it was kind of like a fun novelty for the first 2 years, but
now I'm just I'm honestly like we still do this.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost like if they could. Working in the schedule where it was like one series.
Where you played the Angels, and if you play a team relatively close to you, something like that.
Right.
Giants play the A's, Dodgers play the Angels. You do things like that. I think it's fine. It's when it's great to see the Red Sox coming to town, see the Yankees coming to town. I mean, it's nice, but
Yeah, they said the first time the Red Sox came to the Ravine since 2013.
Yeah.
Which I would have thought it was earlier than that, or a longer period than that. You care to take a stab at what I was saying earlier? What happened in Dodgers history on this date, 1972?
I do not know.
Okay. Then I'll just... Nobody tweeted you, right, with the answer?
No.
Okay. It is... Sandy Koufax was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Becoming the youngest inductee at age 36. Boom, Dodger fans.
Nice.
Little gem for you. Little gem. I gotta, I wish I could say I researched that, but that one's all Vin during the telecast today. He pulled that out, Our 88-year-old guy that we have in our research department. Thank you, Vin, very much. Anything to shout out before we sign off for the week?
Since I was sick last week, I'll give a shout out to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation again.
There you go.
As a sufferer of it, please take a look at their website. It's cff.org.
Awesome.
Take a look at that. And I believe you can find them on Twitter at the CFF Foundation.
Yeah. Or you can hit up Josh.
Oh, you can hit me up, yeah.
At Gersh13, and he can give you all the information you need about that stuff.
That's right.
Thank you guys very much for tuning in to another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360. For Joshua Gershon, I'm Mike Conley. Thank you guys very much. Go Dodgers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.